And now a moment from Your History and Health starts first with Dr. Richard Brown.
Welcome, podcast audience. Welcome to Your History and Health starts first. It is a pleasure always to speak to you during these sessions. Today, I want to talk about diabetes and physical activity. Very important subject. So, lifestyle is very important. Everybody has somewhat of a different lifestyle, but lifestyles can prevent you from having onset type 2 diabetes, okay? And prevention is very important in most things. You just don't want to have things happen to you if you can prevent it. So very important to prevent it. And type 2 diabetes is preventable. I want to say that up front, mostly as it relates to whether you're obese or not, or whether you have high cholesterol, or whether you have a family history of diabetes. So let's start with a definition. So what is diabetes? Diabetes is a disease in which your body has difficulty processing food in such a way that the proper amount of sugar is secreted into the bloodstream. All the food that you eat pretty much is converted to sugar because you need sugar for energy. You need sugar to live and to be able to move. And it's also known as glucose. But when your glucose is elevated in the bloodstream, it causes problems for the human body and all of its organs. Insulin is the chemical that is manufactured by the pancreas. The pancreas secretes insulin when you eat, and its force and function is to take that food and break it down into sugar, but the proper amounts of sugar into the bloodstream so that you can have the right energy that you need to have. It's a long-term condition. It's a chronic condition. It actually determines how your body processes food, how it turns food into energy, how it is used to, how the body uses insulin to break down the food into sugar. So there's several types of diabetes. I'm sure you've heard this diabetes 1, type 2, type 1, type 2, and there's also gestational diabetes. So type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is thought to be caused by an autoimmune reaction. This is such that the body sort of attacks itself, and it actually stops your body from making the insulin that you need to break foods down into the proper amounts of sugar. So only about 5 to 10% of the population of people with diabetes have type 1 diabetes. It's usually diagnosed in children and young adults. But if you have type 1 diabetes, you have to take insulin shots every day to survive. And currently, we don't really know how to prevent type 1 diabetes. If you got it, and you have to take that insulin. Type 2 diabetes. Now, with type 2 diabetes, the body doesn't use insulin very well. It has difficulty breaking food down into the correct amount of blood sugar and at the normal levels. About 95% of the people that have diabetes have type 2 diabetes. And it develops over many years, and it's usually diagnosed as an adult. And but the good news is it can be prevented. If you change your lifestyle in the area of making sure that you're not obese, that you lose weight, making sure that you get proper exercise, and that you're eating healthy foods, it can actually change your status where diabetes is concerned. Now, there's also something called gestational diabetes. Gestational diabetes occurs in a woman when she is pregnant sometimes. And if it occurs, then it's not good during that time, and all the things associated with what the insulin does and not do is present there. But it can also go away after pregnancy. But it can also determine that maybe your child may experience some obesity issues or develop type 2 diabetes in the future. And then finally, there's the pre-diabetes. Now, about 88 million people in the country has pre-diabetes. They don't even know they have it. And once more, with pre-diabetes, the blood sugar levels are higher than normal, but not high enough to be diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. So, but it does raise your risk of having type 2 diabetes, raise the risk of heart disease and stroke. The good news, again, is that if you have pre-diabetes, CDC recommends certain things that you can do to change your lifestyle. So what are the signs and symptoms of diabetes? There's 5. Number 1, if you have frequent urination during the day or have to get up many times at night, then you might have type 2 diabetes. If you have severe thirst or dry mouth, you might have type 2 diabetes. You know, after physical activity, you might get real thirsty, and that's normal. But if you're getting thirsty and you haven't had any physical activity and you have dry mouth, I mean, your mouth is just dry, you need water all the time, you may have type 2 diabetes. Also, unexpected loss of weight could mean that you have type 2 diabetes. People with type 2 diabetes also have blurred vision, and also they may get some tingling or pain in their hands and their feet. So the prevalence of type 2 diabetes in the United States is that there's 30 million people in the US that have diabetes. 8.1 million may be diagnosed, but they're unaware of their condition. 1.4 million new cases of diabetes are diagnosed in the United States every year. More than 1 in every 10 adults who are 20 years older or older has diabetes. So how many people die from diabetes? Yes, people do die from diabetes. Last year, 71,372 people died from diabetes. Per month, 5,947. Per week, 195. Per day, 8 per hour. Okay, 8 persons per day, per hour may die of type 2 diabetes. Now, what are the causes? Factors that may increase your person's risk of developing type 2 diabetes are as follows. Number 1, overweight. I can't emphasize this more. A majority of the people these days are overweight. It's different in different parts of the country. The Midwest, you've got a lot of overweight people here, and it is a factor that contributes to type 2 diabetes. If you're older than 45 years old, you may develop diabetes, but that's mostly because of diet, I believe. If you have a parent, brother, sister, or other relatives that have type 2 diabetes, then you may develop the disease as well. If your parents have ever had gestational diabetes, then that factor may contribute to you having type 2 diabetes. And of course, if you're African American, Hispanic, or Latino, Alaskan Native, Pacific Islander, Asian, you may be at high risk for type 2 diabetes. But that's mostly has to do with the creation of disparities or even racism. How do you prevent it? Okay, we really need to know how we prevent diabetes, because if you can prevent something from happening, then you want to do that and you don't have to worry about it. So the major thought and concept is that you must change your lifestyle. And we know that our lifestyle is developed from family, developed from TV, radio ads, social norms. And so our lifestyle is a product of that. But you can develop serious complications from type 2 diabetes, such as nerve damage, kidney damage, heart damage, but it's never too late to start over. Studies have shown that people who have changed their diet and their lifestyle in terms of physical activity can reverse the effects of diabetes within a 2-week period. So, number 1, as to how to prevent, lose weight if you're overweight. Number 2, be physically active. There are many benefits to being physically active. It loses weight, it lowers your blood pressure, it boosts your sensitivity to insulin. So the goals for most people to lose weight is to participate in aerobic exercises, 30 minutes or more of moderate physical activity, vigorous aerobic exercises, such as brisk walking or doing gardening or shopping or doing things like that where you're just moving around. I mean, I used to park a long ways away from Walmart or other stores when I went out. But because of the knowledge of knowing that physical activity and that the body needs to move to stay healthy, I have no problem parking long distances away from the front door. Whereas most people want to get as close as they can. Resistance exercise is another way to lose weight, and that is by lifting weights, doing yoga or calisthenics. Weightlifting is also a way to do resistance exercise. I have a set of a small hand barbells that I use each morning that I, do a few lifts just to get stimulated and wake up. But things as little as that, or small weights as little as that, can be resistance. Of course, you can go to the gym and pick up those big old weights if you would like to. The other thing is to limit inactivity. Okay, when you're at a computer, and most people work at computers now, but you can get up every 30 minutes to an hour and just walk around, just move around, and then come back to the work that you're doing. So you want to limit the inactivity. You want to move around as much as you possibly can. And it is recommended by CDC, actually, that you should participate in 150 minutes of exercise at least a week. The third thing to reduce weight and to specifically decrease your chance of having diabetes or reducing the effects of diabetes is to eat healthy plant foods, okay? You want to eat healthy plant foods. So plants are rich in vitamins and minerals. They provide energy sources for your body. Dietary fiber, also known as roughage, is a part of plant foods, and your body cannot digest or absorb very well, so that's good for you. So you want to always eat plenty of fruits such as tomatoes, peppers, fruits from trees, non-starchy vegetables, leafy greens, broccoli, cauliflower, beans, chickpeas, lentils, whole grains such as whole wheat pasta and bread, whole grain rice, whole oats, and other products like that are good for you to eat, because those are the good foods. Now, the bad foods or the bad carbohydrates are those that you should not eat much of, like white bread, pastries, and pasta, and fruit juices, processed food, and foods with a lot of sugar and very little roughage. Now, let's say something about fats before I end here. Used to be confusing about, oh, if you want to lose weight, why would you eat fats? Well, there's good fats and there's bad fats, foods that you eat. You need fats to give you energy because the body needs energy to move around. So some of the good fat foods are like olive oil and sunflower oil, cottonseed oil, canola oils, nuts and seeds and almonds and peanuts, flax seeds, pumpkin seeds. Foods like salmon, mackerel, sardines, tuna, and cod are all good fats that you should eat. Now, the bad fats are mostly those dietary products and meats. Cheese and whole milk and meats are not good for you if you want to lose weight and if you don't want your arteries to get clogged up. So, but, you can eat those in moderation. And so you don't have to become a complete vegetarian to stay healthy and to rid yourself of diabetes, but you need to think about that. All things in moderation is a term that is used a lot, and you should think about that. And of course, small portions of food is important for you to eat. You do not have to eat large portions of food all the time until your stomach sticks out, until your stomach hurts. If you're eating enough that your stomach hurts when you get through eating, you're eating too much and you need to stop. Now, health point for the end of this session is exercise 3 times a week. Everyone should exercise 3 times a week until you sweat. Got that? Exercise at least 3 times a week, 30 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour, whatever it takes, but you must sweat. Exercise 3 times a week until you sweat. Thank you and good night.
This has been Your History and Health Starts First with Dr. Richard Brown. And you can leave suggestions at ewcfacts@gmail.com. That's ewcfacts@gmail.com. This has been an EWC Communication production.